Only you can make all this way.
Is there a game and an antagonist who literally brainwashes you as a player? There is. Far Cry 5's Jacob Seed. He's the oldest brother at the head of the Eden's Gate cult, Joseph, and is the head of training the militia from his experience in the 82nd Airborne Division of the US Army. What makes this villain so good though? Let's find out. For any of you who don't know what Far Cry 5 is, this is an FPS open world game set in the year 2018 where a doomsday cult known as the Project at Eden's Gate, originating from Hope County, Montana, took over the county with brute force, torturing and murdering any who did not accept the word of Joseph Seed, the cult's founder. Your objective as an unnamed sheriff deputy is to kill the Seed family and destroy the cult, where each member is tasked with being the sub-leaders of the cult. Let's take a look at Jacob's life from the beginning. In his early childhood, Jacob was notable for protecting his two brothers, Joseph and John, from their abusive parents and had a mind of a fighter. Eventually, he burned down their house in retaliation for their prolonged abuse, which caused the family to be separated. Jacob was sent to a juvenile detention center as a result, and eventually enlisted in the US Army with nothing else to accomplish. During his deployment in the Gulf War, he was separated from his unit after a battle along with a soldier named Miller. The nearest military base was over 200 kilometers away, and with little water and food, Jacob eventually resorted to cannibalism, killing Miller and eating him for survival. This is where his Darwinian philosophy developed, and he saw the murder of Miller as a kind of test to determine if he was strong or weak. From this though, he suffered PTSD and was sent to a military hospital. After a while, he was discharged from the army and ended up homeless on the streets, where his brothers found him and brought him to the cult, where he became the head of security from his expertise in combat. What makes Jacob a really unique villain is his philosophy. He believes that the weak must be quote-unquote culled from the herd, and only the strong must survive, similar to that of a Darwinian philosophy. Additionally, he sees the current world as weak and needing to be culled, and expects Joseph's doomsday collapse to be true. Most antagonists in fiction are obsessed with power and money, but Jacob is unique in being obsessed with his Darwinian weak versus strong point of view. Despite his violent actions and beliefs, however, he's cold, calm, and cunning in his personality, making him somehow intimidating.
You managed to escape for a little bit, but whenever I want, I can have you back here with me. But you've got time to play your little games. I'll let you know when it's time to come home. Only you.
While Faith's and John's methods of brainwashing and indoctrination into the cult are typical, such as by violent coercion and psychedelic drugs, Jacob's brainwashing was unique in its own way, using what was called classical conditioning. Classical conditioning is where you make somebody respond in a specific way in response to a certain stimulus. Here, Jacob's plan was to use the deputy as a sleeper agent to kill the rival Whitetail Militia leader Eli Palmer, using the killing rampage response triggered by the music stimuli, basically using the deputy as a tool. During the deputy's imprisonment by Jacob, the song Only You by the Platters was able to be used to create a hallucination of killing and fighting imaginary Whitetail Militia members. At first it was pretty new and mysterious. You didn't really know what was going to happen. It was weird at first, but not for long. You would be captured again and again by Jacob and be exposed to the same song, only to fight in the same hallucination over and over again. Over time, you would begin to fight in these tests almost automatically and sort of get tired of it, and you wouldn't really care who you shot, as you would have only cared about completing Jacob's test. Just shooting, killing over and over again. It almost became a chore to do, and you didn't care who you were firing upon. This was absolutely key in brainwashing you to only kill no matter what in a robot-like unconscious fashion, which Jacob would inevitably use unexpectedly. Eventually, Jacob would give you another final test, which doesn't really look like anything special. As you kill the imaginary fighters one by one and advance through the test, you eventually attempt to kill the last enemy right around the corner, and you shoot upon instinct, automatically, unconsciously. But you stand in horror as you realize that it was Eli Palmer, one of your allies. This was in-game, real. You killed Eli, and Jacob's brainwashing got to you as a player and an individual. As he wanted, you became a soulless killing machine of a sleeper agent upon hearing the music stimuli, and you were conditioned correctly. You became a tool. Jacob walks in and congratulates you on killing Eli, and you feel a newfound hatred towards his killer as you realize as a person he brainwashed and conditioned you into a soulless killing machine in response to the Only You song. In conclusion, this is what makes Jacob Seed such a good and unique villain. Aside from having a unique philosophy in life, he's the only member of the Seed family able to brainwash you successfully in the game in the most unpredictable way, and might be one of the only antagonists who was able to literally brainwash the player in real life. The death of Eli also adds incentive to seriously despise Jacob and makes you realize you and Jacob were responsible for his death.